Hello again, everyone. I'm Barry Tatum, and this is the first of a series of shows where we will feature our Wilson County Commissioners. On this episode, we'll talk with two commissioners, Sara Patton, who is in her third term, and a first-timer, Mike Kurtz. We will find out why they threw their hat into the ring and what issues they think are of most importance for our fast-growing county. I'm Barry Tatum. Now let's get to talking. Well, Commissioner Sara Patton, thank you for joining us on Talking with Tatum.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Well, you know, what we're trying to do here is you serve an important role in local government as a county commissioner, but to give our viewers an opportunity to learn a little bit more about you and about your district. So if you would, just start off, tell us where you grew up, where you were born, anything about your family, and what are your ties to Wilson County?
Well, actually, I was born in Murfreesboro, and when I was born, my parents lived in Wilson County, right there at the corner of St. John's Road on Canesville Pike. And so throughout my childhood, the biggest part of it, I've lived on the border of Rutherford and Wilson County, or the border of Cannon and Wilson County. I graduated from Auburntown High School in 1970-ish, and with a class of 14, one of them being my husband of 41 years. And we have 3 children. Our oldest, Josh, who works for Lock and Bar, and our daughter, Amanda, who's an EMT, and our son, Matthew, who works for Drive Time and is also a cowboy. He loves ranching and horses and all that kind of stuff. And we've lived on Statesville Main Street for 31 years, since 1991, for over 30 years.
So your roots run pretty deep in the county.
Absolutely. The rural areas of Wilson County.
Well, that's what I was getting ready to ask. You represent District 9.
Yes, I do.
And District 9 is unique compared to the other 25 districts in several ways, but what's the biggest one you want to tell us?
Well, I guess the biggest one is it's the largest geographical area of Wilson County. We border Cannon, DeKalb, Rutherford, and Smith counties. And all of my constituents, I can't go door to door unless I drive or go buggy, you know. And I love talking to the constituents of District 9. I love to go door to door, and I just love to talk to people. And I love being a commissioner. Actually, I do. I wasn't always sure that I would like it, but I do.
Well, when you got out of high school, got married, started a family, what did you do for a career? Because being a county commissioner is not a way to support yourself and a family.
Absolutely. Well, when I graduated from high school, I went to Cumberland, and I graduated from Cumberland in 1977. And after that, Toshiba had just come into Wilson County.
Right.
And that was a fairly decent paying factory job, and I worked there for about 14 years. And all 3 of our children were born while I worked there, you know. And one day I looked around and I thought, I just don't want to spend the rest of my life in this factory. And I do have an education. I'm a reasonably intelligent person. So a good, dear friend of mine, and I worked some at Quality Care, and my parents had also been nurses and caregivers. And so we applied to the Lebanon Wilson County Vocational Center. So I'm all about, you know, continuing education and adults doing that, as well as high school students. And we were accepted in a class of 12 to be in the LPN program, licensed nursing program. And I spent 11 months in the nursing program. And it was as close as we've ever come to being divorced, I do believe, because it was a 40-hour-a-week thing, and you spent the remainder of the week studying, and we had 3 kids at home.
I was about to say, you've got a full-time job raising a family.
Wow, and I worked double shifts on the weekends at the nursing home.
Okay.
You know, for the experience and everything. So my husband was great through that. He's always been a big supporter, and so if it hadn't been for him, never would have made it.
Well, you know, that's the secret of a great relationship, is
Absolutely.
being able to work together through not only the good times, but times where it is a struggle.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but so you graduated from the program with your LPN, and have you spent a number of years in the health?
Well, I've been a nurse since 1991. I've gone back to school at MTSU and various things, only like a couple of credits having my RN, but in the things that I do, I've just never really, completed that because I've stayed so busy being the nurse that I am. I still work 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays as a nurse. And the majority of my patients have various difficulties, like they may be on a ventilator at home and they may have feeding tubes and catheters and various tubes and everything and machines, or they just need extra help at home being able to survive and get around.
So it's home health care.
It's private duty is what it's called.
And but it's not just somebody that's aged, it's somebody that has an enhanced level of care.
A lot of my patients have been pediatric patients.
So dealing with children.
Trachs and yes, and there's a lot of intense things that people don't realize what's involved in people who have various difficulties at home.
Did you ever, I know your husband's retired now, finally, after a long
2
career.
weeks.
But,
That's right.
but have you ever considered slowing down and trying to retire?
No, I guess I'll just one day just pass on out, and because I'm one of those people, I'm a multitasker, and it seems like when you want something done, you get a busy person to do it.
Right.
And I enjoy helping people and trying to solve problems.
Well, that kind of gets us into the public service aspect.
It sure does.
One of the things about being in healthcare, or anything in the medical field, is you have a genuine desire to try to help
Absolutely.
folks. And what was your motivation for? Well, first of all, tell us. You've had several terms before. You're in which term now?
I'm in my 3rd term right now. Yes, sir.
So you've been on the county commission about 9 years.
Yes, sir. Yes,
And what prompted you way back when, 9 years ago, to say, I think I want to try to be a county commissioner? What
I
prompted
think
you to do that?
probably the final deciding factor was the flood of 2010.
Okay.
Because we were out there in the edge of Wilson County, and we had no help, no support. We would call and they'd say, "Well, you've got all, you're in line. We've just got
Take a number.
work. Take a number." But when you're on the end of that, you think, "Well, hey, I'm just as entitled as everybody else.
Pay the same
I
tax
pay
rate.
the taxes. I deserve the same amount of services." And of course, for years we've always said, "Well, we don't seem to be getting anything for our taxes." Most of the people out there, and I've always been a big person about wanting people to stand up for what they need to stand up for.
Right.
But sometimes when you say things to people enough, and you say, "Look, you can change this. It's all about you," and nobody wants to be the one that steps up and does it first. So the change is going to start with you. And I tried to get somebody else to run for commissioner. I actually approached my husband and got the petition in his name, and he said, "No way, I will not do this." So went back, got it in my name, and because several people had approached me about it. We had started a volunteer fire department in Statesville because we had no fire service.
Right.
Most of the people in the area didn't have county water, and we didn't and had no aspects of getting it. And so that was one of the things. There was like a bucket list of things that we needed in our area. The schools, we needed new schools because we'd had them so long and they were just getting overcrowded and falling down.
Right. Well, you mentioned a couple of things there. In the last 9 years, there's a fire station out in Statesville.
Absolutely.
And not to mention the one over in Noreen, which is adjoining.
Yes, sir.
community.
We're so proud of that.
But then you've got the new Watertown High School, which I think is actually the newest high school
Yes,
as we
sir.
sit here today in the county.
Yes, sir. We are so proud of our Watertown High School. That was just such a blessing and our kids have the state of the art things just like everybody else, and it's just such a pride for them. They feel they're so grateful to have that opportunity because sometimes you feel like a stepchild, when you get the last of everything.
Right.
And our roads are much better. We've had a lot of cooperation. But come to find out, excuse me one second, I've had a little issue with my throat lately, with the sinuses and everything.
Absolutely.
A lot of the issues could be solved just by talking to people. If you know the avenues to go down and know who specifically to talk to and to start the things rolling and everything. And the road commission was, very open to, doing whatever we needed, as long as we follow the guidelines, And then the school system, we approached and we were able to get the high school. It just takes people communicating with each other and willing to work with each other.
And having the knowledge about who to talk to.
Who to talk to. And, you know, and I am a nurse. I had no idea going into commission because all I did was say, okay, I guess I'm going to be the guinea pig, you know. And every day is a learning experience. And if you think you know everything, you're in the wrong place if you're in politics, because every day it's different. You know, you've got to follow the guidelines that the county, the state, the country has set down.
And the issues change.
And they change rapidly.
Because when you came on, the economy was nowhere near as good.
Absolutely.
We didn't have the rate of growth that we've got going on right now.
Oh my goodness.
In the time we have left, what would you like to say or see as future issues that county government, local government are going to have to deal with, and any ideas or thoughts about what our county commission, local elected officials should be focused on, or some improvements you'd like to see?
Well, I would really like to see more proactive. Before I came on to the commission, it didn't appear to be a lot of proactive endeavors. And since I've been there, we have built more schools and our roads are better. And, you know, it's just a progression of things, but you've got to be proactive for all the growth we're getting. I mean, they're coming, yes, Mount Juliet is, you know, in my opinion, at its max.
Right.
Lebanon is really getting there. And then you're going to be in Copenhagen on my territory, and I'm getting it from both ends, from Rutherford County
Right.
and then from Lebanon. Now, some people don't foresee that so much as we do who live there, you know, but we see it every day. And we know how they're encroaching in and where those boundaries are. But when you're used to seeing houses up beside each other, and then all of a sudden when you live where I do, and they're not next door to each other, they're not knocking at each other's door, but you can see them 2 miles and then a mile. You know, you see how much that growth is.
See a lot more lights at night.
Oh my goodness, hear a lot more dogs barking, a lot more cars going by. But I would just really wish and hope that the future Wilson County commissioners, that all of them could work together, because it takes 13 people to get anything done in county commission. If you don't have 13 votes out of 25, you don't get anything done. And it takes everybody working together. And when you see that progress and that progression where your officials can work together, you feel like they're working for the good of the people.
Of course, I'm not up there as much as you are with the county commission meetings, but one of the things I've noted in the last few years is you may go to a committee meeting, and it may be a committee that you're on and you're expected to be there, but I've seen you a lot of times at committees that you're not on, just trying to educate yourself.
Absolutely, that's the important part of it. You have to educate yourself to how the process works. I have been to more community meetings. My husband was like, I thought this was just like a few hours a month job, and I said, well, I want to know what's going on. I want to know how everything works, because you can't get anything. I do my own research. I listen to both sides of the story, and then I come to my own conclusion. But now I have many times I will call my constituents and ask them their feelings about it, because they may not feel the same way I do. They put me up there. I need to consider what they're saying as well. So their opinion may not necessarily be the same as mine, but I always try to make a good, well-formed decision. And it's important that your vote is counted, and I feel like that I'm their vote and I want their vote counted. So I have yet to miss but one commission meeting in 9 years, and that was unavoidable because something of a rescheduling thing. I actually had my doctor dismiss me from the hospital one Monday night so I could be at my commission meeting, because I was in the hospital for vertigo and I couldn't drive. My husband took me, and that's the only commission meeting he's ever sat through, and he said, I don't know why in the world you do this.
Well, I want to thank you for joining us here, and we'll thank your husband as well when he watches this for his sacrifices. Thank you so much for joining, and thank you for your hard work for the people out there in District 9.
I appreciate you.